Perfect. So I'm a nutritional therapist. I really got interested in nutrition because I have PCOS and I have very strange things going on with my blood sugars. And the more I learned about food, I became more interested then in low carb. And then I tried keto out, and I just felt so amazing on keto. Um, that I went up and did further training with the Noakes Foundation to be a practitioner who's insured to help people implement the keto diet. And not many people are actually insured. You have to make sure that they have relevant training to support people, because you do see, some gyms and things like that advertising it, but are they actually qualified to help people, like with keto flu or side effects or anything like that? So you just have to be wary about that. It really helped my hormones, as Timmy herself as well explained on our fertility talk, that she felt like it helped her maintain pregnancy. And I just think it's a great eating plan for a lot of people. Now, maybe not every single person on the planet needs to be on keto, but it can really help, conditions with inflammation, conditions where there's brain fog, like even perimenopause, menopause, PCOS, hormone things. It just helps so many things. I want to say a disclaimer though that, sometimes people just need to tidy up their diet. They mightn't need to go to full keto. Some people aren't planning their meals, they're not cooking their meals from scratch. And it's a big jump to go from like having a poor quality diet where you're not cooking meals to jumping onto the keto wagon. And a nutritional therapist can help you clean up your diet from that perspective as well, that you don't always have to go to keto. Because I see people going, their diet isn't good, they do keto, they feel amazing because they're cooking all their meals from scratch and because they're planning their meals, and then they go back to a diet like that wasn't healthy, and then they put the weight back on again. So of course that yo-yo is not healthy. I just wanted to say that it's important to also have a good base diet in place to basically realize, am I feeling crap because my diet is crap, or do I need to do keto now because it will level up my health and how I feel.
Okay, so there's actually a good few people joined us, which I wasn't sure about this time of the day they will. And so obviously this is going to be recorded and put up everywhere. So how about very briefly we start with what keto is for the people who don't know what it is, and what's the difference between functioning with insulin and taking carbs in as fuel, and going for a ketogenic diet.
Okay. So a keto diet is where we bring the carbohydrates down between like 20 to 25 grams of carbohydrates, and that reduces the insulin so much that the body will switch into fat burning. So insulin is our storage hormone, and what people will find is that and these could be people that are feeling tired and find it difficult to lose weight, is that if they're producing a lot of insulin and you produce extra insulin when it's not working properly, because the body is trying to make an effort to get that glucose into the cell, so it produces more insulin. And when there's excess insulin around, you have more of a tendency to store fat, because insulin is your fat storage hormone. And just, I suppose, this is so simple, such a simple explanation, it's not very scientific, but the body cannot contradict itself. So it's in fat storage, it's not going to be in fat burning. So people that I suppose are insulin resistant, they end up being quite tired during the day, because the food they're eating isn't being burned off efficiently enough as energy, and they're putting on weight. So often when they switch over, bring the insulin right down and switch to burning fats, they're like, oh my God, suddenly I can lose weight, I feel really light in my limbs. And you have to get the insulin down and the carbohydrates down low enough the body is forced to burn fat. And it doesn't do that very efficiently straight away. You can feel quite uncomfortable. I always say to clients, you need to give it between 10 days and 14 days, and by week 3 you'll feel a lot better, because your body gets very good at burning those fats for energy. And a good analogy is, if you can imagine a hybrid car can run off petrol and electricity. You don't have to refill the electricity part, but you have to go to the petrol pumps and refill the petrol. That's like the carbohydrates, right? And then the electricity is like the fat. So it basically is and when that energy system is broken or not working efficiently, it's like driving a hybrid car but never actually switching on the electric part, or just having that shut down. And then, like maybe 10 years later, you decide, oh, I'm going to use the electric part in my hybrid car, and it's not working very efficiently because it's never been used. And you can imagine like a car chugging along, and then the more it's used, the better the engine is going to be working. So that's, I suppose, the one way that I can explain it to people. But you have to give yourself a chance. And by week 3, what you'll find is that you'll be more confident with your meals, more confident with your food choices. You'll be feeling better. Like that's the same with any real diet. You need to give yourself a chance to make those changes easier, because when you're first changing your diet, it's more difficult. Every recipe is a new recipe, you know. So by week 3, you'll be really getting into the swing of things, and you've given your body that chance to see what it feels like to actually be in ketosis and to use those ketones efficiently.
Okay, so you said the first 2 weeks probably people won't feel the best.
Mm-hmm.
I have never had keto flu, so I can't talk about that, how what it was. But I do hear a lot of people say, "Oh my God, I was so sick, I was so unwell, and I just, I just didn't feel good, so I couldn't keep going." But it is something that comes in for a good few people, and it's just because your body is trying to adjust to a new way of working,
Mm-hmm.
and it is normal.
Yeah, it is normal, and part of it is because when you reduce insulin and carbohydrates, you lose a lot of water
Mm.
weight, and part of that is like the body will excrete. You can be holding up like anywhere between 2 and 4 kgs of water in your body, and like which could be manifesting in bloating in your clothes. I had a lady in one of my 10-day programs who lost 13 pounds in 10 days. So
Wow.
that's how much water weight she was holding. But that to me is really like that's inflammation and insulin resistance. But so when that water leaves, it can't leave just as water through the body. It the kidneys will pull minerals with it as well. So you
Mm.
lose a lot of electrolytes, your minerals, potassium, sodium is very important, magnesium, and chloride. So I always recommend putting them back in, and also adding like extra good quality salt, and that'll really help with the symptoms. So what symptoms might you experience? Well, headaches, that can be really, that can be linked to low blood sugar, but it can also be linked to the electrolyte imbalance. Dizziness can be linked to both as well. So I think making sure that you're well hydrated, lots of electrolytes, will minimize the impact of keto flu. And like I would usually say to clients as well, like, if you have really bad insulin resistance, you probably will get keto flu worse,
Mm.
because of the way I was talking about, like how high insulin blocks fat burning. So your insulin is high and you're trying to push your body to burn fats, but it's actually very difficult for it. So for those people, keto flu can be worse. But what will happen is the insulin will come down as you cut back on the carbohydrates, and the ketones will come up, and it'll just be a little bit. It can be a little bit more difficult, that transitional period for people with insulin resistance. So for all clients, because I'm not 100% sure if they have insulin resistance or not, if I haven't seen blood tests, I usually say to them, like, look, if you're going anywhere for the first couple of weeks, maybe just keep a banana in your bag or something like that. And you're not going to eat the whole banana, but if you get dizzy or something like that,
Mm.
and you, for example, have to drive the kids home from school, like to take a few bites of the banana, sit, wait, see if you feel better. If you don't, take another few bites. And usually after a second or third bite of banana, you'll be fine anyway. It's not like in diabetes where you're having like a hypoglycemic episode due to too much insulin. You just have to get a little bit of sugar in, and you should usually would feel fine then. That can happen. The first time I did the diet, I got so many dizzy spells. The second time, I only had keto flu for one day. So it really depends, because I had it for 2 weeks the first time I did
Okay.
keto. I had such bad insulin resistance. I was going around the place so dizzy.
It's like something, I eat like this for a long time, and I would be joined by I would be in any groups and every groups, and they always say, if you have headaches or whatever, just take pink Himalayan salt.
Mm.
It probably took me 5 years to try it once, and I was like, oh, me idiot. There's like a glass of water with a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and my headache was gone. So I was like, okay, so it does do the trick. And so it's, yeah, the electrolytes are really important. It's something which I do ask, and I see being asked so many times, what type of electrolytes? Because that's you know, I don't, well, if you want to recommend a particular brand, please do. I don't mind.
Mhm.
But I think it's really important you don't go for any flavored ones. So I have the unflavored,
Mhm.
unsweetened one, and it tastes yucky, but it does the job. So it's really important you finish it, what we get.
Yeah, so I actually am so funny because I love the taste of electrolytes and I can't drink water without electrolytes now. I feel like it tastes so weird. And you know that saying when you're like you've been on people have been on diets before and they say like, oh, you know, maybe you're not hungry, you just need a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
A glass of water will never fill you, but actually, if you've a glass of water with electrolytes in it, you're not you're like replacing minerals as well. And sometimes actually when you're hungry between your meals or you're feeling like you want something, even like something salty or crisps or something, it's because you need more salt. Now, I'm going to say two brands here that I just feel are easily accessible
Mm-hmm.
and they're handy for people. My favorite salt actually at the moment is the Apple Island sea salt flakes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Like you can just eat them like crisps. They're the nicest tasting salt I've ever tasted before. I don't know why they taste so nice. We must tag them on this. And then um, just in the health food shop, probably one of the easier brands to get is the Viridian Sports Electrolytes Fix. And they kind of taste like seawater and you dilute them. So there's a recommended, it's usually, I think, about a teaspoon and a litre
Oh,
of water, actually.
wow. Yeah.
So it
Okay.
could be a half teaspoon, like maybe that's why you don't like the taste of it.
I
Maybe a
don't mind
half
now.
teaspoon, a pint, you know. So on what I usually say to my clients, if you really don't like the taste, then like just put in a few drops anyway, like so you're getting some in the water, and then put extra salt
On the
on your
food.
food. And you have to put the electrolytes in every single glass of water that you're drinking,
Mm.
especially for the first couple of weeks, because that's when you're losing those liquids. But you will find they're alkaline and they really help with, I think, you know, fake hunger.
Mm.
Like they hydrate they help the cells take up the water better, so they're just so good for hydrating all of your cells, your
Mm.
skin, everything. You don't need to be drinking even as much water when you have the electrolytes in it. So it's you know, because sometimes people are like, oh no, I don't want to be drinking all this water because I have to go to the toilet all the time.
Yeah, but that's
But yeah, if you add the electrolytes to it and drink less of it, you'll actually be okay because your cells have a better opportunity to take up those that hydration.
okay. So I do have actually, yes, there you go. I should have it here too, but I have a big blue bottle and I think I left it downstairs. So again, I'm not taking back. So I actually have loads of your customers and clients, I should say, as my customers, who you had a program started not long ago, and you know, so I do work with people who uh, come and go, and I'm sure you find them. They do your program once and then they come back for more, and they say always it's so much easier when you have a support group,
Mhm.
when you know exactly what to do. And that's what I would always try and encourage everybody who is trying on, and like they have a goal. Obviously you don't go on it because you have nothing else to do, and so it's most of the time it's weight loss or weight loss related health issues or overweight related health issues. And so tell me, who usually go for your program? Is it weight loss? So it is your program is advertised as a weight loss program and you use keto for weight loss, or it's a
Do you know,
keto program and
yeah, it's just I actually advertise it mostly as a keto program with the happy side effect of weight loss if it happens. But I tell you, the people that keto suit very well, and like a lot of the clients that I will get, are as we get older, like type 2 diabetes is an age-related
mm,
disease and it starts like 10 years before you get a diagnosis
mm,
in the doctors. And what I was noticing actually is that it can be missed in the doctors also because sometimes people only get like a blood test once a year, it could be less often than that. And what happens is like the doctor will often check your fasting blood glucose. And actually, if for somebody with healthy fasting blood glucose, your blood glucose will be generally under 5 every morning if you tested it for a week solid, right? But if somebody is starting to lose control of their blood glucose levels, they'll find that their blood glucose is moving around a lot. So it could be under 5, like one morning, then over 5. Like the doctors like to see it under 5.5. But again, like, I'm always looking at optimal ranges, because then once you're over that, you're kind of pre-diabetes, so you're better to be under
Mhm.
5 if possible. And so like you could go into the doctor and you could just go in on a morning where it's under 5, but like the next morning it could even be over 6 because it's moving around so much. So I would find with clients, if they have a lot of symptoms of blood sugar dysregulation, I might get them to, you know, start testing their glucose levels for a few mornings in a row, and we'll have a look at the results when they come back into me for their next appointment. And then we'd always be aiming to optimize them, because you can really have blood glucose with different nutrients. You can ask your doctor for medication as well, which would have kind of more side effects than just using nutrients. But you know, we might lower the carbohydrates, put in some supplements, and they would find then they feel much better. They're starting to lose weight, and their blood sugars are much better in the mornings. They're staying below 5. So I suppose the person that like I would have is usually perimenopause or menopause, and they're saying, Niamh, my energy isn't the same. I've started to put weight on around my tummy. I just feel like no matter what I do, I can't lose weight. I've brain fog. And their hormones, like obviously their hormones are changing because their female hormones are changing, but you see our whole endocrine system is connected. So actually insulin is a hormone, your blood sugar response is a hormonal response, and like we have stress hormones,
Mhm.
sleep hormones, female hormones, and like when you go through that change, it can impact all of these different things and the thyroid. So when somebody comes to me with like maybe perimenopausal symptoms, okay, we know that their hormones are starting to decline, but what other, you know, organs in their body is that affecting? Because like, you know, I think it's great now that like HRT has switched to bioidentical hormones, and also that it's more widely available and it's going to be free, because people will feel better. But we've come to a stage now where people are going to the doctor and it's like a pill for all ill, like the way the
Yeah.
contraceptive pill was. If somebody comes in with hormonal symptoms or anything like that, the doctor would just, or heavy periods, or, you know, or irregular periods, the doctor would just put them on the pill. And now, like, I would find that, like, a lot of menopausal people, not all of them, because some doctors are so
Mhm.
thorough, like, whereas they'll be checking their bloods, checking everything is good, and then rechecking them again 3 months later. And then I have people who are putting on HRT without ever getting a blood test. Like, and I just think that's crazy.
That-
But
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, because like they could be like other factors, other areas that also need support to help that person thrive and feel well. Like, do their blood sugars need support? Could their vitamin D be low? Oh my God, my new favorite thing is melatonin. It's such an amazing antioxidant and anti-inflammatory for your brain if you're finding it difficult to sleep, and it's so good for the ovaries as well.
Mhm.
Learning about that with fertility clients, because like, you know, optimizing your ovary health as well is so important to make that transition through perimenopause and menopause easier. So there's lots of things, natural things you can use as well. And I just think a low carb diet, because as you get older, you're going to tolerate the carbohydrates less. So you need to have a look at your diet and pull back on things. And even like, do you know, even if somebody changes a couple of their things in their diet to keto, because I'm just saying keto because like we know keto products are very low in sugar and carbohydrates, but even if somebody was going to change their breakfast keto and their sugary snacks keto, they could be cutting out anywhere
Yeah.
between 6 and 10 teaspoons of sugar per day without doing a full keto diet. Can you imagine at the end of the week how much sugar that will be and how much better they're going to feel? So even small changes like make a big impact.
Yeah. So we were talking, and then I think it was in the last like, oh no, it was some. So anyway, so we were talking about, you know, what I think about ketogenic diet, and I said, you know, like what I think. I also said it to somebody. I'm gonna put this all together now in a second. Sorry, I just have so many things in my head.
Mm.
So, I said it to somebody after listening to an episode on YouTube with Steve Bartlett. Anyway, and then the guy there, there's a professor there who talks about the benefits of keto and literally shrinking brain tumors. And so, but at the, like, it's a long podcast, but the end of it, like the 5 minutes in the end of it, is probably the most important thing. Think about it. When you eliminate ultra processed foods and the grains and all what human beings weren't evolved eating, and you basically eat like a paleotic human diet, which was like a few berries, obviously very different berries what we have today, which are massive and juicy and really sweet. So if you eat a few berries, a few green leaves, meat, and nothing else, and you call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it keto, you can call it whatever it is. It's basically a very low carbohydrate diet. And so human beings were evolved around eating this way. And so even if you just do a little bit, you know, if you don't go full keto, but like if you reduce the ultra processed, the packed foods, the sugars, you already did so much for your body. And again, I was talking to somebody else who said, you know, aren't we better off if we get a few people to change their meals to a little bit better, as opposed to go on full and like be every meal be perfect. So the little bit, what I'm trying to say is the little bit of changes are really good, and you could call it whatever diet you want to call it. It's really important to cut out the ultra processed food and all the sugars, unnecessary sugars, which they're in every single thing. Okay, so that was my bad, sorry, it was just in my head. And I wanted to ask, so when people, so you have a 10-day program, is it 10-day only?
So it's a 6-week program, but the intense keto part, right, is 10 days, which is broken down into a shopping list and meal plan for 5 days and 5 days, just to make sure the food is fresh. And then, like, if somebody wants to, like, go and do another 5 days, that's fine. But it's just really get them into ketosis and get them the feel for portions, all that kind of stuff. So usually then, so the keto diet is, you know, as I said, 20 to 25 grams of carbohydrates per day. And then what I find, what like everyone always finds when they're doing a keto diet, is they lose their appetite in the morning. And I encourage them then to have, like, it's not like cutting out your breakfast, but have something prepared to eat when you do feel hungry. So you know, like that. You're like, oh, I'm not hungry today, I'm not going to eat breakfast, but I'm going to wait until lunch. But you could be starving from 11 onwards. So you have 2 hours where your body is actually in a state of stress because it's so hungry. So bring something like that's easy, you know, if somebody's working at their desk or they might have a break, like, you know.
And can I just ask something, because we were talking about this again with somebody, a friend of mine not long ago. She's doing low carb and she lost a lot of weight and the weight didn't want to move, so she introduced fasting, but she was hungry. So I said, I don't think it's a good way to be if you're hungry, because then your body is in stress. And in my head, now please correct me, in my head, your body thinks if there's no food coming and I'm starving, whatever comes in next, I may just have to store it, so we have for the times when it doesn't come. So should you be hungry?
Yeah. So that's the way I was describing it. It's a very gentle way to introduce fasting and to actually eat when you're hungry. Even a light meal, like a chia pudding, some like yogurt and keto granola, something like that. Or if somebody's working from home, they might like to have a hot breakfast at that stage. But it's all about like planning your opportunities to eat when you're fasting. It's so important to plan your opportunities to eat. Like, first of all, work out like, when are my breaks? When do I work? What's my schedule like? And then plan your fasting around that. So you don't let the fasting be the more dominant thing, but you're letting that fit around your lifestyle and just really kind of trying to listen to your body and see when you do get hungry. So like if I know I'm going to have a really busy morning, I won't have a light breakfast because I mightn't have another opportunity to eat till lunch. I'll have a good, decent breakfast. You know, if like if I know I might eat again later and I'm not really that hungry, but I feel like I should eat just for concentration or something like that, or because it depends. Like, it's like really tapping into yourself. Like, sometimes you'll be like, no, I don't need breakfast today, I'm fine. And then other times you'll feel you do need it. But interestingly, because I'd be very into testing glucose and ketones, and I would find that on the mornings where I'd feel slightly hungry, right, that I would test my glucose and ketones, and my ketones wouldn't be as high as they usually would be, even though I was eating a low carb diet. And what would happen is that if I fasted that morning and I rechecked my glucose and ketones an hour later, instead of my ketones getting higher and I'm getting more deeper into fat burning, what would happen is, excuse me, my glucose started going up, which means that my body was going into a stress response. But I mean, the blood glucose ketone monitor showed me that, but actually if I was just listening to my body, I would be able to tell that naturally anyway. And then mornings where I'm not hungry and I feel like I have loads of energy for fasting, and good mental clarity, and I like would test my ketones, they'd actually be higher. My blood glucose would definitely be under 5. It might be, a bit lower. But then when I test them an hour later after a fast, the ketones are going up and the blood glucose is actually staying pretty much the same. So that means that my body is really enjoying that, and it's using my body fat for a meal, basically.
Do you recommend a meter, like a keto glucose meter for everyone, or is just, because I see people looking for it, and I said I have never had one. I had obviously checked my blood glucose when I had gestational diabetes, and I still have 2 or 3 of those machines. I have never actually checked my ketones, but I would always check my blood sugar, well, with that when I was, and I still sometimes occasionally do. Would you recommend to have one of these meters too?
So it's an investment, because I think there could be, they're a bit over €100. So you can get urine strips for under a tenner in the beginning, just to see your ketones. And when you see, like, I just think that, like, when people are putting a lot of effort into their diet in the beginning, like, they want to see like some test results, because it makes them feel like they're doing a good job. So I think the urine strips are cheap and cheerful in the beginning. If you're thinking about like doing keto long term and introducing some fasting, and if you're menopausal and your blood glucose has a tendency to be a bit high, then like it's definitely a blood glucose monitor, if it didn't stress you out too much, because sometimes people get a bit stressed by doing testing on themselves. It's a great tool. It's a great idea. You can get continuous glucose monitors now as well, but they're so much more expensive. Like, I use Keto Mojo monitor, and you get, like, with the monitor you get 60 strips of glucose and 60 ketone strips, which lasts for ages, because you don't need to test every single day. It's just like to give yourself an idea in the beginning how you're doing, and maybe a few weeks later how you're doing. A little check-in with yourself, and it lasts for ages. Whereas the glucose monitor is so expensive. Like, unless you have diabetes, then you can get it on prescription, but it's like €80 for 2 weeks, and then after those 2 weeks are finished, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, that it doesn't work again. So I think the finger prick monitor is a better investment for someone just doing it because they want to do a keto diet.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I don't want to go on too long, so we're going on for half an hour. So you said about the first 10 days, what's in the program, and then what's after that?
Yeah.
So what can people from joining your program, apart from, I think, being a really good support group?
Yeah. So the next one is like, just, I suppose the support is so important, and the encouragement, and like with the fasting as well. I think people can just jump into it too fast. I think in the beginning, 12 to 14 hours is lovely for women. And then, like, if you feel good and you want to do 16 hours, you don't even have to do that every day. Do it on days when you feel good and you just feel like you're not hungry. But the thing about the keto diet is, as well, is that, like, and the intermittent fasting, is that, like, you naturally start cutting out the mindless snacking. And, like, I do think it's a good idea to still, if you can, like, plan to eat 3 times during your fasting window, because you still want to make sure that you're getting enough nutrients in, for the day. So like, sometimes, like, if you're snacking on kind of keto treats and things like that, they mightn't be as nutritious if they're very high in fat as you would from a regular meal. So you are better off to still have like 3 meals, even if one of the meals is small, like a bowl of soup that's easy to grab, or and not too filling because you mightn't be that massively hungry, or yogurt and berries and some ground seeds, something like that, where you're getting like a lot of nutrients in there, and polyphenols and fiber and things that are good for the gut as well.
And is your program dedicated to female or male? Like, is it both?
It's females at the moment, mostly because I feel like that women feel safer in a group talking about things and asking questions.
Do you know anyone who does it for male? Because I do have a good few male clients, and there was actually customer, and there was actually somebody very recently, it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, he was looking for something like this, and you were the only one to think of. But maybe if you know somebody who does this for male, that would be, so I could recommend it. But I just remember that because it was literally yesterday we were talking about this. So it's mainly female for you.
I know. I told one of my male colleagues, I was like, oh my God, there's such a big opening for males. I was telling him that he should do it. But, like, I mean, I would help males do the keto diet. do you know what? It's slightly different for
Yeah.
males because women love following a recipe. For males, just want to put stuff on a plate, you know?
But you obviously need a different meal plan
Yeah,
for men because they want the steaks and the burgers anyway.
yeah, exactly. They're
Okay,
not
that's
very
something
adventurous.
that's something to work on. Okay, so no, that's really good. And I think if you think there's something that's really important to mention and we haven't talked about
Mhm.
it yet, then do say it. Otherwise, when is your next program? How can people sign up to it? And yeah, where they can find you.
Yeah, so my website is thehappyhormoneclinic.com, but my socials are Niamh Burke Nutrition. And the next program probably will be launching in January. And I'm sure that like a lot of the girls that were in the program pre-Christmas will be doing that January program as well. Although we did do a lovely post in the group yesterday sharing all Christmas recipes, keto ones, you know, if you want to stay a bit low carb at Christmas. Um, so yeah, there'll be another program in January. Like, look, people can they can jump on whenever they want because the support group is open, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, I think they do. Like in the beginning, it's a hard diet because it's so exact,
Mm-hmm.
like with the measurements. So that's why there's a meal plan in the beginning. But I do encourage people to move over then to, you know, take the reins themselves, start planning some of the meals that they'd like to eat themselves, and even just to do 2 or 3 days at a time so it's not overwhelming, but start planning their meals. And it's really like there's a full video on like eating to suit your schedule because I think some people end up like their day is a bit chaotic because they haven't sat down, and it's so easy to do is sit down and like write down your opportunities to eat and like not leave too long between your meals, right? It's just if somebody's eating a normal diet, like really 2 to 3 hours is the max. Like on a keto diet you could probably leave 4 to 5 hours and you'd feel fine, but again it's actually maybe to check in with yourself again and say like, did I feel okay, or do I need tomorrow, do I need to bring a little snack in between that so that I feel good and mentally I'm not like always thinking about food, or like that I can concentrate and work and that I feel good. I think it's so important for women. I just feel like it's so hard for women now because we've such a mental load, and I do see a big problem is that like because women are looking after everyone else and working a job as well, that it's very hard for them to look after themselves. Like, and it's to try and see where there's time available to actually try and even like, you know, for example, sometimes like I'll watch a movie or something on Netflix while I'm cooking and while I'm cleaning because I actually don't always feel like I want to cook. And I hate cleaning as well. So it's just to, you know, instead of be like maybe sitting down in front of the TV because you've no energy, start using maybe 1 to 2 evenings a week, like to do a bit of meal prep for lunches or something like that. And you'll still watch your programs, and then you'll actually reap the rewards because as the time goes on, your energy will increase and you will feel better. And I just saw a question, somebody wanted me to talk about snacks, like and you know, for energy, I think that if you're getting dips in energy, you first of all need to see like you only get a dip in energy after you get like either like you've skipped a meal, so your blood sugars are going down, or the previous meal you've had a spike and you're going down. So first of all, if you're getting big dips, like say for example, everyone knows the 3 p.m. slump, I would look at lunch and see if I could adjust that a little bit, macronutrient wise.
Like that. Exactly. So what would you pile up on that if you feel like you're hungry earlier than you should have been?
Yeah, yeah. So well, because I'm eating keto, like I love things. If you're traveling to work, like a chicken Caesar salad, but I would put probably extra veggies in there as well to make it a bit more tasty. And I love the Dunn's have a lovely Caesar salad dressing in the fridge section. It's really like there's no sugar in it. It's like one that you get in a restaurant. It's really nice. Like you know, pesto mixed with olive oil is a lovely dressing as well, low carb dressing. And I love mozzarella salads as
So
well. And
when you're putting a meal together and
yeah,
you think you've done your meals right, you haven't left too big of a window in between your meals, and yet you're still hungry. So should you pile up on the fat in the meal, or should you pile up on the fiber in the meal, or on the protein in the meal to keep you full for longer?
oh yeah, okay. So if you're making a plate, right, you want to, I suppose, combine low glycemic carbohydrates if it's just a regular meal, like, and with your protein, and most people undereat protein during the daytime and at lunchtime, and most people are undereating their calories. Like, I'm just going to say 1800 for an example. So if you are eating an 1800 calorie day, like it's easy to divide that by 3 because it's 6 over the 3 meals. Like, by your lunchtime or midday, like, you should have like between 1,000 and 1,200 calories eaten, and most people won't have that. And if you're not eating them earlier on in the day, you're going to be eating them after dinner in the form of sugar. And like, that's really bad for your metabolism, because your metabolism is higher during the daytime when it wants more nutrients to function and calories. And instead, you're depriving the nutrients earlier on in the day, backloading highly sugar foods and insulin at nighttime. So that's a real recipe for putting on weight. So like most people would say that actually if they eat well during the day, the cravings at nighttime are much lower. So we want to make sure that you base your meal around the protein source. That's going to really help. Like, I think the problem is with sandwiches is that like the carbohydrate ratio to protein is so high carbohydrates, low protein. But whereas when it's a salad, especially, you can put like loads of chicken in it, and then like loads of other like vegetables, and your healthy fats could be your olive oil mixed with your pesto dressing, maybe some walnuts, because that'll give it a crunch as well. And like, I would put lots of other crunchy vegetables in as well. And I wouldn't be full for ages now. And if like the snacks, then if I'm snacking, I think nuts are a great snack, because they're just such a good balance of good fats, protein, and high fiber as well, carbohydrates in nuts as well. Very good for like your hormones, everything like that. Nuts are, so I would snack on something like that, even like a small bit of dark chocolate with your nuts. But if you're really dying, like at 3 o'clock and yawning and really sleepy, I'd look at the lunch, restructuring the lunch so that the energy release from the lunch is like a little bit like longer and not as high, rather than high and crash, you know.
Okay. Yeah, we need to finish. And
sorry, I talk forever.
I'd like to finish with something really positive. And so I was thinking, what would be the main benefits, what your clients would say after finishing the program? What they really enjoyed on being keto?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, do you know what? They all love the support, because, like, when you're reading a book and you're doing a keto diet, you've no one to ask questions to. And also, in a support group, like, I encourage clients to share their meals for ideas, but there's tons of recipes as well on the program. But like, just to give people ideas when they're feeling stuck, and yeah, just to feel good. Like, obviously, a lot of people say weight loss because you will lose weight on keto. But one of the ladies was saying that like she was jogging and her times were improving so much, and she wasn't getting as tired, and her pace was much better. And people were saying like they were waking up in the morning with so much more energy, because like, you know, if you're eating a load of sugar before bed, you're going into fat storage. Like, your body actually really does want to burn fats overnight, because it's a long fast. It doesn't want to be like getting all these signals to burn sugar. And as I said earlier on, too much insulin blocks fat burning, so it makes your body really difficult. So a sugary snack before bed is like the worst thing for your sleep. You might find people are waking up, but people are saying like they're sleeping better, their energy is better, their cravings are reduced, they're intermittent fasting very comfortably. And then somebody will fall off the wagon, and it's very interesting, because they're like, oh my God, fasting is really hard now. And I'm like, just ease yourself back into low carb, and your body will start telling you when it wants to fast again. Don't force the fasting. That's what I would say.
Yeah, what I find for me, what was probably, obviously, all my health issues sort of disappeared. But on the other hand, what was really, really, really obvious to me is I was so much sharper in here. And it's like you got a different brain in here. It functions so much better.
Oh, it's amazing for mood. And it also, like, because it's so anti-inflammatory, the brain loves it. But also, like, if somebody's going through the day, like, peaking and crashing, like, your just mood is going to be all over the place. It's going to be like mood swings. Like, I remember when I used to have porridge in the morning, when I used to think that porridge was really healthy, and like, I'd be starving afterwards. I'd be so hangry after porridge. Now, sometimes people don't feel hangry after porridge, they feel okay. But again, there's not really enough calories, if we're thinking about trying to get more calories in earlier on in the day for your metabolism, to have a bowl of porridge. Like, you know, in the morning. But like, especially if I just had fruit and yogurt in the morning as well, like oh my God, like I'd want to kill somebody afterwards. It really affected my mood so badly. So now I'm just like protein and fat in the morning is my like,
Yeah, I
you
would
know,
be
I
I would be on breakfast because I usually then don't get a chance to eat maybe up till 3 or 4 o'clock, and so I would normally have 2 meals in the day and they're proper size meals. And
yeah,
I do have a breakfast at 8 o'clock, and then I have like a proper lunch and dinner all together in one, at 3 or 4, and that would be me done eating, and that's the way it works for me. And I've tried
yeah.
loads of different. And
That
if
was
I get
such a
in
healthy
the
way.
it's just nuts. I have any and every kind of nuts in the house and in the bakery and in the car and everywhere. In case if I need to eat something, like a handful of nuts, and then I'm all good. I really appreciate it. Do you think we have mentioned everything we really had to?
I think we have.
Yeah.
Like, I actually was going to comment on your style of fasting. That is like one of the best styles for women is to stop eating earlier. If you have the potential there to stop eating earlier and not to fast too long in the morning. Just for weight loss, it's been shown because, like, you know, your first meal is going to support your metabolism as well. And ideally then, like, when you're going to sleep, your food is well digested. So if somebody could get into a pattern where they were finishing eating early, and not everyone can, but that's just to say that that's a really healthy way to eat. And thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me on again.
Thank you so much. It was a joy, and like we could be going on forever to talk about this. So, but we had like it's 45 minutes, and I always aim for about 20 minutes. So we've gone over a good bit now. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I really, really encourage everybody to join your group because I see the struggle they go through when they try and do it on their own, and they also see the other side when they say, "Oh my God, the program is great. I get the support. You know, I can write in there anytime if I find or if I don't know what to do." And so, yeah, I totally encourage everybody to do your program. And thank you so much for joining me. All your contact details will be under the live, and this live is going to go on YouTube and on my website sooner or later as well. Niamh, have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.